What is up, trained advisors? I'm going to give it a couple minutes, wait for some other people to hop on board before we get into everything. Um, in this call, I wanted to just briefly touch or talk about the customer avatar and then some ongoing client acquisition strategies. Some things that we can do on LinkedIn that will translate really nicely onto Facebook, but none of this will work if you are not semi-clear on who your audience is, and it cannot be just, oh, everybody with money. I love all dentists with money. If that's where you're at, that's fine. Start there. You're the one that goes towards dentists. But as you have more conversations with dentists, you'll find, oh, you just really love like dentists that they own like a single family practice, or I don't know if that makes sense, but they own one practice where they are the only dentist, for example. Or you hate those and you only love dentists that work in um, like a big giant setup. So let's see, we got everybody in here. Cool, 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 cool. All right. Well, I guess I kind of talked about the audience a little bit, but I've had a lot of conversations lately with a lot of you guys here about your ideal audience. And there are some really common, I'm going to try and keep this on track because there's really common sticking points that I see a couple of you guys running into right now. Number one, the URL is not going to make or break your campaigns. Like the world that Tyson and I came from before, we literally you got 10 minutes. Here's set a timer for 10 minutes. Just come up with a URL, figure it out. If you can't after the 10 minutes, then just default your last name consulting.com or do your first name.com. But I would not don't let your URLs be a sticking point to move forward with like a website or anything else that you got going on. Okay. Um, Now, I guess, lightly touching about the client or the ideal audience again. Your audience cannot be just anybody with money. It's got to be like, pick a niche, pick an industry. Maybe you only love working with chicks. You only love working with dudes, whatever it is. Nobody's going to be biased, but you have to be kind of clear about that starting out because that's your foundation. Everything else is going to fall into that. Like man, I'm trying to think. Let me think of some of a good example. So when we do webinars, if we are not clear about the ideal audience that we're talking to, then our webinar might not, I mean, there's going to be a massive disconnect. So super simple, like this is very particular for us though. So maybe it'll help you think about your audience. For us, there's like people that are just starting out. They're like brand new as a financial advisor. Call them Ned the newbie. Give your people a name. You're creating your client persona. So Ned the newbies, what are their problems? They don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. They get into the mindset problems. They have all the emotions. They're getting stuck on like the URL and things like that. So you got those people. Then you got the kind of middle of the road group. I can't remember our name for them. I can't remember the name for the other one either. But there's three distinct profiles that we're looking for. The newbies that are just starting out, they're super fresh. Then you got the people in the middle that they're making some money, they're good, but they're spinning their wheels. Those are the ones that usually need like systems and SOPs and stuff like that. But they're probably also doing the same thing in the past. And what you did that took you from 0 to 10 grand is not going to take you from 10 to a million or something. So you got to change those things up. Then you got the people that are just crushing it. These are the big, big ballers. They're bringing home multiple seven figures. What are their problems? What are they thinking about? A lot of the times, the guys that are crushing it, making tons of money, and I mean, we have a ton of data from a lot of different industries that backs this up, but it is very particular for us. So your audience may not fit this model. A lot of these guys, they just want to be home in time for dinner. A lot of it, they're super, super successful because they're just grinding all day long. And that's their pain point. That's what they want to fix. Like, so in our case, that's what they want to fix. So we need to be very clear when we're writing content towards this group of people and webinars towards this group of people, because if we don't have this group in mind and we're doing our webinar and we're talking to this group way up here, but these are the ones that like signed up for the webinar, then this is everything we're talking about is way over their head. They're not going to be able to relate to any of it and they're going to leave. They're going to bounce out. It's the exact same thing with content. So if you're not super clear on who your audience is, start with whatever you got, but then you got to get more clear. You have to get more clear. We had have a client that so his ideal audience is like telecom employees, people that work at like Verizon, AT&T, and Frontier, and DirecTV, like all that stuff. when he first started with us, he's brand new to like prospecting to cold audiences. Dude's super successful, makes buku bucks. You know, I'm sure in the past he's made 7 figures at some point. And if you haven't yet, just stick around. You're going to. I can all but guarantee it. It's not easy, but it's not complicated. So this dude did it in the past, all good. He came on board with us. He wanted to do outbound prospecting, get a new client acquisition channel, new traffic, all that stuff. But he was nervous. So he didn't want to start that prospecting with the audience that he spent the last 30 years, like, I don't know, really understanding. So in my mind, I'm like, dude, this is like, okay, here's my hypothesis. This is what I think is going to happen. We'll go with what you want, but I just, for expectation's sake, this is how I think it's going to roll out. It's exactly how it rolled out. It was friction after friction after friction. This was slow, that was slow, and it just didn't work. It was a massive disconnect. The entire LinkedIn profile was all basically it was very generic. It went from like laser focused on this audience to very generic because he was afraid to do outbound prospecting to that audience. So even the guys that have been around 30, 40 years make 7 figures, like they have the same exact like mindset and emotional struggles that we all do. So something to keep in mind, like the problems that you're dealing with now, as you go up and up and up and up and up and up and up, they're never going to go away. But how you see them is going to change. It's a much better problem to figure out, like, or it's a much better problem to like get over being afraid of talking to those people than it is trying to figure out how to like feed your family or something. So something to keep in mind. You got to be clear on your audiences. This is going to play into your branding, your websites, like everything, even your content, your webinars, all of that stuff. And it's a huge sticking point that a lot of people miss out on. They'll either say, "Oh, I can just work with anybody with money," or it's always super generic. Like I only work with dentists, right? I only work with like mechanics or something. Not good, bad, right, or wrong, but we just need to be aware of these things. Like we have to know these things because it's going to make a massive, massive difference. Um, so even like for us, we've got a couple of different tiers of programs. And so when we're marketing this tier of program, we're talking to this type of person. We can't market this to that type of person because they're not interested at all. Like they've already done all that. It doesn't make sense. Man, there's one other point that I wanted to make about the audience thing. Oh, so yeah, now that guy is, uh we've had the conversations, we've gotten through some things, and now he's on board. Like, okay, let's do the outbound prospecting, the cold process. Let's apply this offer and this messaging to this very particular audience. Slight changes to the offer, slight changes to the messaging, and it's just going to somebody that he knows like the back of his hand. So I'm super excited. He's still a little nervous. I'm super excited because these conversations, he's had them the exact same ones for 30 years. I think that's going to be a massive change in that guy. I mean, his entire like lead process is probably going to change because he's going back to like a very specific audience, a very specific brand, and he's going to own one small niche, and he's going to practice the strategies, the tactics, everything to get the lead flow, the sales, all that stuff. Start small, and then like once he's proven it, he's hit his financial goal, then he can start expanding because the exact same strategies apply to this industry, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. It's all the same stuff. It's just like people kind of, they're too generic about their audience, or they don't change their offer to fit this audience, or they're not doing, I don't know, like just different customer research or something. Um, so something to keep in mind. You should be right. So like literally we have like a female and a male customer persona. So when we're writing content, like I literally have a Google Doc pulled up and some attributes of the female version of, the newbie that we're writing to. And then we have the male version too. So literally like a Google Doc right here and here. Next, what I'm going to do is just, I don't know, have some AI image generator to bring up some faces so I can see the face of this person. I can try to kind of get into the head or get into the mind and, kind of what are their pain points? Like when they wake up, I want to get into their shoes so I can speak their language. It's going to be a lot easier to come up with content and do your webinars and everything like that. So be specific about your audience. That is going to be a big game changer for you. It's going to get easier and easier and easier and easier and easier to market all day long. But if you are not clear on your audience, your messaging is going to be off, your offers are going to be off, your webinars are going to be off. And then that's where people are sitting there thinking like, oh, dude, I'm trying this strategy, but it's not working. I see this person doing it. I see this person doing it, but what's wrong with me? It's those tiny little details. It's man, what's a good example? Like if you got a calm pond, you throw a rock in it, and it's like one tiny little ripple, but it hits every single shoreline, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it hits every single part of that pond. One tiny little detail affects the entire whole. So keep that in mind when it comes to your content or choosing your audiences. Um, so now I wanted to just kind of talk about some ongoing client acquisition strategies. So the automated outbound prospecting, cool. It's a good foundation. It's something that it's like a machine, just kind of it keeps going. It's never really going to stop. But that shouldn't be where you stop too. We don't want to just rely on one single thing because at some point it's like the messages have all gone out. You've responded to all the messages, you've followed up with everybody, and now it's like, okay, now what? And we don't want to just wait for the next day for another group of messages to come out. Any automation tool that you have, there's going to be limits at some point. When we hit those limits, we don't want to, well, depending on, time of day and stuff and what everything else that we've done, we don't necessarily want to stop. Um, so keep it on, just know that when I was doing all this stuff on Facebook, adding friends and messaging people, when I got blocked on Facebook, I moved over to Instagram, did the same thing. When I got, restricted there, move over to LinkedIn, do the same thing. So that's why it's so important to know your audience, have really good converting offers and really, test your messaging so that you know it resonates with the audience and gets them to take action on the offer. Because if LinkedIn just goes away one day, we are going to be totally fine. Everybody here, totally, totally, totally fine. Because we're just going to apply all of it over to Facebook. It's the same strategy. It's just like a slightly different perspective. It's all blue, but what we do on Facebook is like a slightly different shade of blue versus what we do on LinkedIn. Okay, now one thing that we did really, really successful on Facebook is joining groups. You got to think like, okay, who is your audience? And you hear this everywhere. Now go to where your audience is. Now going in person, that's cool. That's great. You should do that. I mean, some of our most successful advisors. Hang on one sec, guys. Man, I had a cough and I don't know. Didn't want you to hear that. Some of our most successful advisors, they are going to like, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 networking events a week. So they're going to like a Chamber of Commerce event, they're going to some of I don't know, they're like just finding local events that they can go to in their area. And if not anything other than to just show face. And you know what's crazy is when you do your local marketing, like on LinkedIn, if you have a Google My Business, you can set that up. You do, well, it's a little different on Facebook. But people locally are going to start recognizing you at those events. So Tyson actually I'm not sure where he's at. He's at an event right now. I don't know I think it's in California. And he's getting recognized by people that read his stuff on LinkedIn. Never met in person before, but they're at the same event. People are going up to Tyson like, "Oh, hey man, like I recognize you. Good to meet you. Like, what's up?" And it's all because of the stuff that he was doing on LinkedIn. So something to keep in mind. And somebody here was really, really good and it was a really awesome reminder. Even though your posts, if they're not getting any likes or comments or engagement, nothing, there's somebody that's going to see it and get value from it. So there's a lot of like silent stalkers, I suppose. They are reading your stuff. They're just not engaging with it. And that's fine, but they're seeing it, they're reading it, they're going through it. And if you're not doing any content, then you're not giving them anything to look into you about. So you should be doing content. And it's going to be a lot easier to make your content if you know who your audience is. And then just use our content guides. Remember, there's only those 4 ways that people interact with content. It's the actionable, analytical, anthropological, that's like the human element, and then the aspirational one. So you got your 4 A's. And then just remember the story frame, or the story, what is it? Storybook framework. What's a big problem that you had? Whatever it is, doesn't matter. What are the steps you used to get past it? How are you better now because of it? Now imagine we're writing content. We're thinking of Ned the newbie. We got Ned in our mind, and he's a brand new advisor, fresh, doesn't know. He's probably still in that mode where he's like calling friends and family, like, "Hey man, like you need some, I don't know, you need some insurance or something." So it's like, what is a big problem that Ned might go through? And then what are the steps that somebody like Ned might take? And now how are they better because of it? Now, we went through a lot of that already, so we can write from experience. Now, if Ned reads that, Ned is like, oh my God, is this dude like in my head? That's crazy. So that's kind of how these things work. You should definitely be making content, even if nobody's watching it. We've been doing it for, I don't know, Tyson's been making videos for years and years and years and years, years and years. We got a little bit more serious about our SEO back in August, and we're just now starting to see the results of that. Just now getting calls booked off of Google and YouTube with no conversations. There's no, we have no idea who these people are, but they found us from all of the content they were putting out. All of the content that we're putting out that never hit more than like 500 views on YouTube, or never more than, 50 likes on LinkedIn or something. So something to know. It can take some time, but you can definitely do it. So here, I'm going to share my screen. We're here on Tyson's profile. Now, our ideal audience is agents and advisors. So coming down to groups, you should go into groups. All of these groups, these all have our ideal audience in them. This is something that works really, really well on Facebook too. Here, I'll just let all these load. Look, there's 48,000 people in this one, 43,000 in that one, 14,000 in that one. I was looking at one the other day. It had like 1 million people in it. Let's see. Customer service and insurance. I mean, I can just type in life insurance and probably find a bunch of, here's one, 231,000. So I would find 5 to 10 groups that you think your ideal audience might be in, and then join those groups. On LinkedIn, I think there are public groups. Regardless, join a private group. Ideally, it's private. Most of the time, public groups are just full of like spam, and you're like, the people in that group are probably not as serious. I mean, in my experience, just go with private groups. That's what you want to focus on. So join your groups. Now, one thing, every single social media platform on the planet operates like this. When you join a group, and well, here, let me start with this as a contrast. Where most people go wrong is they'll join a group, and we can probably find one right now. Um, um, I guess these are all pretty kind of good examples. When you join a group, the algorithm on Facebook, LinkedIn, um, I know Facebook and LinkedIn. When you join the group, the algorithm has no connection between your profile and anybody else in the group, even though we're connected. Tyson's profile is connected with 3,000 other people inside of this group. But in the group, there's no interaction. So to LinkedIn, Tyson's profile seems like a stranger in this group. So if Tyson's first post in this group is like, hey, I help financial advisors make a bunch of money with automated LinkedIn, the algorithm is not going to show that to, I mean, it's probably not going to show that to like anybody, because there's no interaction between on anything that Tyson has posted inside the group and the people in there. So the first thing that you want to do, and this is especially relevant on Facebook, first thing that you want to do, you'll find a lot better examples of what I'm talking about on Facebook, by the way. First thing you do, any group that you join, is do an intro post. Just talk about yourself. Why are you here? What are you hoping to learn? What are you excited about? I always kind of tag the group owners too, as hey, thank you, tag group owners for letting me into this group. I'm super excited to learn X, Y, and Z. I've been struggling with blah right now. So people love the vulnerability. And just as humans, when you talk about things that you're struggling with, it's like a super common default thought and response for the people you're talking to try to help. So when you say, hey, thanks so much, group owners, for letting me into the group. I'm super excited. I've been in the business X, however long. I'm really excited to learn about this and this and this. It seems like there's a lot of posts about X, Y, and Z. I'm really looking forward into that. I'm currently struggling with this and this and this, so that's why I'm here. I'm super excited. Thanks, guys. If I can help you with anything, just hit me up, whatever. As an intro post, well, I won't say a lot of people, but you are likely to get some pretty good engagement with that. And this is the same thing. It's like if you walk into a room of people that you don't know, like you might introduce yourself to somebody. The way that you would do that might be similar to how you do it on LinkedIn. But for whatever reason, a lot of people do it wrong. The first thing they do is they'll come into a group and they'll do an offer post. But because the algorithm has no connection between that person and anybody else in the group, it's not going to show it to anybody. And then it already is going to kind of look like spam to a lot of other people, depending on how it's written. So it's not going to show it to people. People are less likely to engage with it. And on top of that, If it's a private group, sometimes the posts have to be approved by the group owner. So if you make an offer post that is obviously trying to, get leads and like, solicit business to people, they might deny it. They might say, no, I don't want this in my community. Something to keep in mind. So anytime you're joining somebody else's group, all of the posts that anybody else's community, everything that you put in there should come from experience. It's all written in first person. I did this, I got this result. I did this and I totally messed it up, and this is what I learned. Here's a big problem that I had. Here are the steps that I took to get past it. Here's why I'm really excited for next week or something, because now I know all this other stuff. When you're writing from a place of experience as opposed to authority, you get a totally different reaction. And you're probably going to get some like cheerleaders too. You get fans. People want to join you on your journey, which is actually pretty cool. So find some groups, um, do an intro post, and then after that, you just want to engage. All it is engaging. How are you using AI? If you guys are using AI, I would like heart this and then comment. Here's how I'm using it. This is a tool that I use. And then, so this is the same thing when you're like doing posts on your personal profile. The number one thing that's going to get views is having conversations in somebody else's comments. So if like if I'm using AI in my financial business, I'm going to respond to this. Here's how I use it, and then I'm going to respond to these other comments too. Like this is probably written by well, I guess a lot of these are probably written by AI. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna come through all of this, but man, this just like this isn't like well, this one might be a conversation. Nice. So he's using chatbots to reduce customer service requests and tickets for direct to consumer. The key, yeah. All right. So I mean, there's something to respond to in here. You do your intro post, then you just engage. Find something to engage with this, and it's kind of hard. Like there's two ways to think about it. If it's hard, take that as wow, my competition blows. Like if I just practiced, 2, 3 weeks, a month or something at copywriting, having conversations online, dude, you're gonna eat everybody's lunch. Because look at this. Not, and I'm not reading them, so I don't know if they're good, bad, or anything at all, but I'm looking at engagement, and there's just not a lot here. And it's, I mean, this could be written more. This doesn't incite a conversation too well. So join your groups, do an intro post, just the same thing on Facebook. Just engage in the comments. Leave a top level comment and then respond to other people. Have conversations. And then after, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks, you can decide if it's a time period or if it's a certain amount of engagement. You do your intro post and you get like 20 likes on it or something, then I'm thinking like, okay, whoa, maybe I only got to engage for a couple of days because that got some traction. Then I might start making value posts or offer posts. So your value posts should always teach something. Usually they should either tell a story or they should teach something. But even through a story, you're still kind of teaching something. And they should always tie back to you as the expert. And it's really easy to do if they're written. Here's a big problem I had. Here's the steps I took to get past it. Here's how I'm better now because of it. That's how you're gonna get a lot of people to kind of like follow you along. Now, as a financial advisor, like if I was an advisor and my ideal audience, let's look. This could go horribly wrong if there's not any good groups. But let's just all right. I need an ideal audience. See if anybody wants to put an ideal audience in the chat. Anybody want to give an example? If not, let me think. What's a good audience? Something like super weird. I mean, I guess like fencing contractors. I worked with a lot of fencing contractors through Facebook, but never inside of LinkedIn. And maybe this is a really good niche. So I would join this group, Australia. I can't do anything there. I might join this group. Actually, no, I probably would join this group because I would be trying to get information from people, asking questions and trying to get somebody's opinion. Um, Software developer. Ooh, that's a good one. All right, let's look. Software developer. So if like, all right, I'm thinking software developer. If I don't find it, and it looks like there's a bunch of groups, but I'm just if I don't find any groups, then the next thing that I'm looking at is maybe tools that software developers use. Maybe just different pieces of literature that software developers use. So like even when we're running ads, a lot of the times we'll use like if we're doing like interest-based targeting. So I want to attract everybody that's interested in X, Y, and Z. A lot of the times those audiences start with like magazines or books or authors. I want everybody that's interested in like man, who are they? There's Amy Porterfield, that was a big one. Jay Abram, that was a big one. All to attract like entrepreneurs and stuff. All right, software developer, I would join this one. I would join this one. So yeah, these all look great. These are probably a lot of people looking for jobs, maybe. So if that, like if you're trying to find people that are looking for a job, then maybe these would be good. Um, but so then you just click join active group. That's good. I'm not sure. I mean, there's some, maybe it's like, one post a day or 5 posts a day. Okay, so here, 10 posts a day. There's about 1,700 people in the group, active in the group last week. Nice. Get some other information here. So there's 2,200 people that are in marketing and advertising. These are the admins. So I would join the group and then I would make a post tagging these guys. Thank you so much for letting me into this group. I'm super excited to just be rubbing shoulders with all these top dog software developers, kind of, pump people up. Um, I actually, I don't know if I would say exactly what I do. Probably just more like why I'm excited to be in the group and what I'm looking forward to learn, and then how can I provide value to the group. But it's got to be written in a way of like, oh, I'm just like super excited to be here, not like, oh, I'm super excited to be here so I can try and sell to every single person inside this group. If they pick up on that, then they're probably going to deny the post, or you might run into, they might even kick you out of the group, which has happened plenty of times. So don't let that freak you out. Anytime I've been kicked out of a group for like a post that I made, I always took it as like oh man, they see me as competition a little bit. That's cool. Um, and then I usually always message the group owner like, hey, sorry, like, I'm not in here just to like solicit business. Here's my true intentions. Thank you for the time that I was allowed to be in here. If you need help with X, Y, and Z, basically like a nice collaborative apology letter, like, sorry, I wasn't, trying to step on any toes. Um, but it's a common thing. I wouldn't think of it like you're fishing in somebody else's group, but you're networking in somebody else's group. And on a social networking platform, the people that are kicking you out of the group, I don't know, maybe they have a scarcity mindset. So I would join this group. Public, nice. Oh wait, these are all public. Let's see. So here's a private one. I would join that one. I might bookmark this one and kind of come through it and just look at it. I don't see what this has to do with I mean, I'm not a software developer though, so I guess I'm not sure. These polls do really well in groups too. So when I was doing this, like on my LinkedIn, I joined a group, I did an intro post, I engaged. Then the next post that I made was a poll, and I mean it had, I don't know, like 200 something people respond to it. No comments, just like the 200 votes. So from there, we got a lot of context clues. And that's what you want to do like with value posts inside of other people's communities. Because what we're trying to do is um, let me make a post about this. Does the audience care about it? If it's a lot of engagement and impressions and comments and stuff like that, then I'm taking the context clues. Okay, whatever the meat of that post was, people really liked it. So now I'm just going to cut it up into a bunch of different little mini trainings, little mini posts, little mini ideas, pictures, videos, stuff like that. I don't know if I would join a group like this. You get a lot of this stuff in public groups. So like this, best way to reach me, cool. Uh, Six Sigma green belt. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it. But see how some of these posts, like they don't invoke conversation. You just post a link and I can't really like comment on it. And there's nothing like, oh wow, there you're a link. It looks so awesome. Thanks. I can't really do that. Um, this just reads as an ad, so I can't, there's nothing really to talk about there either. What about this? Public, 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 public. You might have to dig a little deep, and maybe it's not just software developers. Maybe it's like software developers that use a specific tool, or it's a specific type of software developers, maybe UI developers. There might be other groups for that. The private groups, I would consider them more, what's the word? More, I don't want to say like professional, more refined, more honed, maybe. people are joining this one, they or people that join this one have slightly more serious intention. And I mean, they're probably going to be a little bit more responsive too. Usually, people that are getting public groups like this are just farming this data, and they're making like big audience lists to run ads to, or they're gonna like download all of the data and then make an audience list, and then on Facebook they'll make like a lookalike audience. So give me another audience that looks just like all these 41,000 people in here, but not exactly these 41,000 people. Um, so something to keep in mind. Like usually public groups have a lot of spam in them. But I bring up the groups because this translates really, really nicely onto Facebook. It's the same thing. Go into Facebook, type in your ideal audience, scroll down to groups. You'll have, I mean, it's, like groups right here. Click on groups. Um, do your intro post, just engage, like take the 5-10 minutes a day, it doesn't need to be a lot to engage, comment on things, and then you can start doing value posts. Kind of hard to write, but you'll get better at them. So any post that you put, any piece of content, we want to get context from it. So like memes are really, really good at getting reach and impressions. Ha ha ha. People, they're funny, cool, but it's hard to get context out of that. If I post a meme and 1,000 people like it, then do they like it because it's funny? Do they like it because of like the underlying joke that I'm making? I don't know. But if you do a video teaching some actionable thing like, hey, here's how I manage my inbox on LinkedIn using the star method, and a lot of people like that, then I'm thinking, okay, these people might be interested in like how I manage time or other organizational things that we do to help kind of move the needle forward. Um, so join groups on Facebook and LinkedIn. The more clear you are about your audience, the easier everything is going to be. It might seem harder to find that group of people, but when you do and you speak their language, then you can kind of it's easier to become a celebrity in a smaller group of people. And then practice all of your stuff. Practice your content, do your lead generating strategies, um, and just don't, I wouldn't just stop with the outbound prospecting. When I started everything, first thing I did in the morning, I would like, take a cold shower, meditate, do all that thing. Then I would send out maybe, I don't know, 500 cold emails. I had a software to do this, so it took maybe 20, 30 minutes or something to set up. I'd send out all of my emails, then I'd jump over to Facebook. I would jump into a group. I would peruse through each one. So I'd open just like I did up here, a couple different tabs. Um, and then I would scroll through those groups, maybe 5-10 minutes each. I use these Pomodoros often. So I've just set a Pomodoro timer for 10 minutes, scroll through a group, looking for something to comment on. If I find something sweet, I'll comment on it. If I don't, then I'm thinking, man, like these guys, man, I just gotta practice. I'm gonna crush it in this group with my content because everything else sucks because nobody else is responding to anything. And I'm trying to find something to respond to and I can't. Um, and then, I mean, once you're not a stranger in the group, then you can start just sending messages to the group members. And now so this is something else that came up a lot. A lot of people are saying like, oh, group rules, like you can't, like solicit people. Um, whatever side of the coin you're on, it is a rule. I gloss past them all the time. If, this is a social networking platform, I have something that I know can be of extreme value. I've seen it change people's lives. So I have a moral obligation to get as many people to know about this as possible. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, okay, no messaging group members for soliciting. Like, then maybe my first message isn't soliciting. Maybe my first message is just asking a question. Like, hey, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Is that something that interests you? It's not like, hey, do you want to buy life insurance to, the 41,000 people in this group? Because then they're all going to report that. It's, oh, you're soliciting, oh, you're soliciting, oh, you're soliciting. So when I joined the fencing contractor group, they had the same rules. They were very specific, where we do not allow marketers in this group to message our members to solicit business. That's exactly what I was doing. I made my whole, 6-figure business on running Facebook ads in those groups. And my first message was just, hey man, are you guys open or are you closed because of COVID? And then the next one, that whatever they said, didn't even matter. No, yes, doesn't matter. My next response was, oh, okay. Man, what was it actually? I think I had a different, oh, yeah. So if they're closed, I was asking them then like, oh, okay, like, are you making like a big giant list of referrals or like a wait list or something? So when you do open back up, you've got all these people to talk to. Um, it's just asking more questions to the point where they seem a little bit qualified, then making an offer or asking like, hey man, you got, 5 minutes on the phone next week? I'd love to kind of get your opinion on something that I've been building up. And that's what I told people too. Like, hey, I don't have anything to sell you, but this is what I'm doing. Is that something that interests you? So if I was a financial advisor or an agent of any sort, I'd chat them up like, hey, this is what we're doing. I've seen this. This is what I'm doing with all these guys over here. No, I would soften it a little bit. This is what I'm thinking about. Like, man, if I like, would this be of any value if I could find like some, I don't know, legal obscure tax code that would help you, that would just guarantee you save like 50K a year no matter what. And I know this is a horrible example. Is that something that would interest? Would that be worth anything? Like, is that something that interests you? Depending on how those conversations are teed up, people are going to give you their very real opinions. So they're not thinking that you're trying to just sell them on something. They are thinking that you're asking like, hey, what do you think? Like, hey, what do you think about this? These little clickers that I use. Do you think that would be like helpful? Like when you're doing your prospecting, if you had a clicker like this, would that make, like tracking your messages, would that be easier? Would that just be annoying? Would that be a pain in the butt? Like, I don't know. What do you think? I would find some sort of financial product and do that literally. Ask them like, hey, I don't know. Like, do you think this would apply to your business? Um, the whole point is just get conversations going. You're running ads, you're doing webinars, you're trying to get on sales calls. It's all just conversations. So at some point, a lot of this stuff does boil down to sales skills. So you can have, the best scripts on the planet. As soon as you get somebody on the phone, like if you're not sure how to handle objections in the moment, or you're not sure how to, I don't know, explain something with extreme clarity so that they don't have any other questions after that, then I might, brush up on that stuff. But your conversations online will help with your sales skills because you'll know, like, if you ask somebody a question and they respond in extreme detail, like this big long paragraph, I don't know about you, when I first started, I felt like I had to respond to all of that too. Now I know, like, no, like we're busy, we're here for prospecting, not trying to get in these long conversations. I ask you a question, you send me back this long paragraph, I'm gonna say, got it, ask my next question. Then we're just moving through the process. Um, Volume will help. So all the automated stuff that we do on LinkedIn for you guys, it's cool. It's awesome. We're going to keep it up. By the way, we are in talks with another software company that we might be able to like just have a, I don't want to give too much away. Um, but and if we, if I mean, so we're testing this on our side right now. If all goes well, then we're basically like, hey guys, like you guys all got to use this. Here's how we're using it. We'll help you set it up. No worries. But we will be able to prospect in groups like this. So usually, if you have less than 500 first-degree connections in whatever audience that you're trying to target, then we would want to do a connection request only campaign to get you up to at least 500 first-degree connections, then do the real one. They're like the real campaigns. If you've only got like 100 people first degrees, and then we start a campaign, I mean, we'll have messaged all 100 people in like 2 days or something. Um, so if you don't have that, or you just want to add a little fuel on the fire, find your groups and join them. And then we can just literally just take this URL and start prospecting inside this group and getting all this information. And it's really, really good stuff. So another benefit, just to kind of keep in the back of your mind, I don't think it would apply to anybody here right now, and I don't think it really should either. But if anybody's talking to you about paid ads, paid traffic, I really would not consider any paid traffic until you have proven something organically first. So and this once you have, I don't know, maybe three, four, five, choose your number, clients that you've gotten organically through outbound prospecting, usually this indicates that you have a good idea of who your audience is, your offer really resonates with them, and your messaging is really attractive to get them to respond. Once you've proven those three things organically with statistically relevant results, so it's not just you got one person, cool. No, no, no. You got three, four, five, six, whatever it is, then you can start running paid traffic. But you've already proven the most important parts when it comes to paid traffic. So if anybody's talking about paid traffic right now, I would not consider it at all um, until you have something proven through organic processes. So something to keep in mind. when you're doing your automated stuff, pretty much every automated tool is going to collect a lot of information. A lot. So like if you're using Dripify, I mean, it's all the LinkedIn information that you see on somebody's profile, we're collecting that all in this nice little spreadsheet. So the location that they're at, the job that they're at, the industry they're at, like their title, their website, all kinds of stuff. That is information that we want now. Like, so keep this in mind. Like, you want to be building these big giant lists now, because when you have proven these things organically, and it could be through prospecting, it could be through a webinar, when you have, and you want to go start running ads, you'll have this big giant database of people that you can run ads to. And that's going to lower a lot of your costs right off, right, literally right out of the gate. A lot of your costs will be a lot cheaper. Um, so, I mean, and then, I don't want to get too complicated here, but um, if you are considering Facebook ads and you hear what I'm saying and you're like, yeah, okay, cool, sounds good, but like I got the cash, I got some cash to burn, I got some play money, then and you're good on video, then let me know. And I mean, you should just start running video ads. And I got scripts, and I can help you with that. I can give you the framework. You're gonna have to make a lot of videos, basically in the exact same format too. Um, but the nice thing about that is when you're running video ads on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on anything really, the data that is coming back is stored in the platform. So, hmm, usually when you run Facebook ads, you have this little piece of code. It's called a pixel. You add that code to like your website or something. So when you're running ads, that code. That's how Facebook knows, like, oh, this person went to the website and did this. That person went to the website and did this. So, and this is how we used to run ads like a couple of years ago. The whole point at first was to season that pixel. We want to teach that pixel. So put as much money as we can per day, like really high budgets, like $1,000 a day starting out, and we know that Facebook won't be able to spend that much. But we want to season that pixel as fast as possible. So then when we're running another set of ads, hey, Facebook, just use that pixel data. Just attract everybody that you've already collected the information on. So we don't have to do interest targeting, we don't have to do behavior targeting. So it's a lot easier. We just tell Facebook, hey, this is how much we want to spend. And we want to attract everybody that's already interacted and everybody that's like the people that have interacted with this pixel. Go have fun. Go figure it out. The problem that happened, and I don't remember. Oh yeah, this is with Apple. When Apple like updated to like, I don't know, iOS 14 or 16 or whatever, they removed that ability for Facebook to track those pixels on only on Apple devices. And at the time, I mean, Apple, everybody was like I think literally like everybody was on an iPhone. So all of a sudden, people that are, they're spending like, $250,000 a month on Facebook ads, and they're pulling in seven figures, all based off of their pixel because Apple removed that option. Everybody, dude, we saw so many accounts just stop dead in the water, stop performing, costs skyrocketed because Facebook essentially had to relearn everything. And they, some of these guys had, like 5 years of data that they've spent $20 million collecting. So that is a ton of data, and it was all wiped, all gone overnight. All of it's gone. The nice thing with video ads is that will never happen because you're not doing anything with a pixel. All of you're telling Facebook, hey, go find the audiences that watch 25% of this video, or 50%, or 100%, or whatever it is. So it's dramatically different targeting. So if you're hearing what I say, like, cool, yeah, but I'm good on video, or like I'm happy to make some videos and I got some cash to spend. When I say cash to spend, I'm like, $5-10 a day, if that, honestly. This is pretty cheap, but you're gonna have to make a lot of videos. And if that's the case, cool. Hit me up in school, post something inside of the school group. We'll chat. I can, I could guess I can actually, I think the SOP for making video ads is in there, but if it's not, I'll add it in there. And then yeah, I mean, like we can jump on a call. I'll help you set up I'll help you set up your Facebook account so that if you do get shut down, it doesn't stop you. You just get back up and running, no problem. Um, but video views are good because they can be cheap. I would start with that. If you're hearing everything I'm saying, you're like, yeah, cool, but I'm good on video. I got some cash to burn. I would do video ads, but none of it will matter. Even your video ads, none of this will matter if you're not clear on your audience. And one really good, I mean, we've talked about this a couple times before. I think a good kind of way to think about who might your ideal audience be, like what are their pain points, what do they like, what are their goals and dreams, what are their ethics and morals, like what are they actually really trying to do? Um, Oh, add the, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll add those to school. Um, damn, I lost my train of thought. Man, what was I saying? Oh yeah, good thought. A good way to think about your ideal audience is pick a department store and then where would they be? So the one that we were using is like where, if your ideal audience was in Walmart, where would they be? What would they be wearing? What would they be shopping? What aisle? What are they shopping for? What's in their cart? When we did this with another client of ours, they stopped us on like, mid-sentence. They're like, my clients would never be shopping at Walmart. We're like, okay, like, okay, but tell us more. And then they're like, yeah, it's gonna be like it's a stay-at-home mom wearing yoga pants and some, I don't know, like a workout top with Starbucks, and they've got like a Louis bag, and they're in the organic section of Whole Foods, and they just came from like Neiman Marcus where they bought their kid some new, I don't know, Chucks for school that starts up again, or I don't know. But that information, that's like, okay, this is a really good ideal persona. This is a good persona. Now we can start writing content to that person. If we didn't know that, then it's likely we might be writing content that wouldn't resonate with that person. And then then nothing's connecting. Then we're thinking like, oh man, I've been writing content every day for the last 90 days and like nothing is hitting. Nobody can, or the people that are commenting are from like a third world country, or they're from Canada or something, or they're not somebody that I can help. So then you're attracting the wrong type of person. And then it's like, oh man, well, why? Get clear about your audience first, or have some idea of who it is. Um, and then Yeah, I mean, all these strategies kind of come down to conversations. So it is going to come. So the lead gen process, it's usually all like, just, I mean, it's strategy, and then you have different tactics that support the strategy. But it will ultimately come down to sales too. So I'm not like a salesperson. I'm not, when I started my ad agency, I think I took maybe, I don't know, 60 sales calls. A lot of them I bombed. I closed enough of them to make some pretty good money. But like always my intention was, okay, I just want to hear what their problem. Oh, this is perfect actually. And I'll just share this with all of us here. One of our clients referred somebody else to us. Tyson, he's out. He's out. He can't do anything right now. So I'm going to take this call. This isn't a sales call. They didn't fill out our form, so I don't know any information. It's just one client said, "Oh, hey Joe, like, these guys are awesome. They really want to do some LinkedIn stuff. Like, you should chat them up." And then I didn't. They responded like, "Wow, this sounds awesome. Like, here's my calendar link, book a time." I did. That's for today. I'm not a sales guy. All I'm doing is going into this call. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, see where he's at. I'm going to find out so here's, I think, kind of interesting. I'm going to find out what this person's goal is. I'm going to find out where they're at right now. I'm going to find out what's not working. What's the hiccup? What have they tried before? Have they tried to get some help with this before? And if we have good answers to all of those, then it might be, hey man, honestly, I think this is worth a chat with Tyson. I mean, we can really dive in to see what kind of, a couple things you got going on right now and try to find some gaps. And then we'll just show you exactly what we do. No strings attached. And then I'm going to try and tee it up as a sales call for Tyson. So when Tyson gets on, they can kind of just jump right into it. So when I get on with this person, I'm going to pretend I'm a doctor. I don't know how there's not a doubt in my mind that I cannot help you, but I don't know how I can help you if I don't know what's wrong. So I'm like, hey man, like what's going on? What are you trying to do? That's the 5 question simple script. We have that inside of the school group. What's a goal, or what is your goal? You got to have a number. It's a financial number. You got to have a number. And so that's part of the sales skill too. Because if they say, oh, I just want to hire 2 more people, it's like, okay, cool. Like, what's that going to cost though? And we have to drill down to those numbers. There's all types of like sales psychology where you're like anchoring, and Tyson knows all of that. That's a little over my head. But what is your goal? You got to have a specific number. So I'm going to ask this guy, like, okay, what's your goal, man? Like, what's your financial goal? How much are you trying to make in 2024? Where do you want your business to grow to? What's the number? Okay, cool. Now, where are you at right now? Okay, awesome. You're trying to hit 200K and you're making 50K. Awesome. So what is not working? What's the hiccup? And probably they're going to say, well, I don't have enough calls booked. I'm not talking to enough people. And I'm going to say, okay, well, what have you tried? That is a big thing that a lot of sales guys, my limited experience, I know they mess that up. They don't ask that question. And then when it comes time to provide a solution, it's the solution the client tried and failed. So it's like, well, I already tried that. So I don't trust you. Your expertise? No, you're not an expert. So I'm gonna ask them like, well, what have you tried in the past? And if it's what I would recommend, like, okay, you're here, you need to get here, and you're not doing prospecting, then you need to do prospecting. No website, no emails. You're not doing webinars. Like nobody's finding you, then you got to go out to them. And if that is what he says he tried, then in my mind, it's I got to reframe it. I got to like, okay, well, like kind of walk me through that so I can find where the sticking points were. There's no reason outbound prospecting doesn't work. It always works. But I guess there are reasons. Where it doesn't work is little tiny things like your audience, or you're not tracking your messages, or you're not consistent, or you're not posting anything. So nobody has any idea who you are. There's no attention on you. Um, and yeah, I mean, this was set up for me as a sales call. I'm not, and maybe it is on that guy's side too. I don't know. But I'm gonna pretend I'm a doctor. Hey man, like what's up? Cool, you know this guy, awesome. So like what's going on? I'm just gonna jump right into it. What's going on? What's your goal? What are you trying to do here? We'll go from there. That's how all of my sales calls always were in the past. And when I'm asking them, like, okay, I go through that exact same script, then I usually had one other thing that I would ask them. And in my case, so I don't know what it is for financial advising, but I'm sure that there's an equivalent. For me, I was asking them, what or do you have a Google My Business set up? And I know to ask them that because in the past conversations that I had with all those like fencing contractors, a lot of them said they were like they we got to the point of the conversation where they were asking me questions. And they're like, ah, so what is this like Google My Business? Like some other guy was gonna charge me like $1,000 to do it. Like, should I do it? And when people are asking you, should I do this? Does this make sense? That's when you know, like, dude, they trust you. So just be honest, like help them out. That's what I did. I would ask, we would get to a point in the conversation where I would say, okay, cool, all this sounds good. Just, hey, real quick, do you have a Google My Business? Like, have you ever heard of that? And they're like, no, I've never heard of that. Or they're like, yeah, I have heard of it. I'm like, okay, did you have one set up? And I genuinely only ask because I've seen people charge like thousands of dollars for this and it's free and it'll take you 20 minutes. And it's the best thing you can do to get on Google and be searchable in 20 minutes. Does that ring any bells? Do you know anything about that? If they say yes or no, didn't matter. That was my foot in the door. If they said yes, that they have one, it's up and running, I just, okay, cool, awesome. Like, you got some maybe slight talk about that, and then I'm probably off the phone. I'm still following up though. If they said no, then I would just offer to do it for them. Like, hey man, I'm happy to do this for you. It'll take 20 minutes. I can send you the documentation if you want to do it. But that was my foot in the door offer. That was me doing something of value for nothing in return other than like, hey dude, you respond to my messages, you're cool. That's why we're still on the phone. We're kind of getting along. So like whatever I can do to help, I'm happy to do it. And if I can do something for free that takes 20 minutes that I know will literally change the course of your business moving forward, I'd be a jerk to not do that. I came across somebody, I was presented with an opportunity to help somebody. Why would I not? I'm going to. I mean, in that particular situation, I'm going to. So that's what I'm going to do with this guy. And all of your conversations in groups, in your webinars, any email conversations, any social media conversations, they are all going to be sprinkled in with a bunch of sales stuff. Tyson's a much better expert on that than I am. But if you just my style is I treat everybody like my buddy. Like I talk to everybody like you're my blood brother or sister. I'm going to talk to you the exact same way. My intention always is I'm not thinking, oh, how can I get some cash out of this? How can I get some cash out of this? And it used to be, and I ran into so many problems. I was scared to talk to people. I would send out emails. I had my phone number and my signature, and people would call me back and leave voicemails. And I was scared to listen to the voicemail because in my mind, I was thinking every time I get on the phone with somebody, I'm going to ask them for money. And then when I had the slight mental reshift or mental reframe, it's no, no, no. Every time I get on the phone, I'm going to figure out how to help this person. As a byproduct, cash will come, the deals will come. And that's exactly what happened. And I did. I mean, I beat my head against this wall. I don't know, well, I mean, for me, it went kind of quick because I had really, really good mentors. But when I didn't have my mentors, dude, I mean, I was trying it for like 8 months, 8, 9 months, maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think, I'll have to go back and think like literally what is the timeline. Um, but anyway, just be super clear on your audience. You got to know, you got to have an idea of who your audience is so that you can go find out where they are. And then you can practice your messaging, your find, your offer, your messaging. I would find groups. I would be posting inside of groups. I'll keep everybody up to date on this new software. This new software that we're going to be trying out is going to blow Dripify out of the water. I'm going to try and, I mean, between all of us here, I'm going to try and finagle a little partnership maybe. But we'll have AI involved. You can basically schedule out messages on LinkedIn. So I don't know about you guys, but when I'm prospecting in Sales Navigator and somebody says, hey, this sounds awesome, but I'm moving across the country, so reach out to me at the end of March. I just make a note like, oh, reach out at the end of March. But there's no trigger to remind me that. So the only way I'll know that is if I'm going in and I'm looking at it every day. Like, oh, yep, okay, on March. All right, I don't have to do anything with this guy. Look at the next guy. This new software, you can schedule out a message to go out at the end of March. That is absolutely mind-blowing. If you guys have ever heard Tyson talk about Bomb, I think their videos. Well, if you've ever gotten an email or somebody's holding up a sign and it says like, hi, Joe, or like, hi, whatever your name is, and you're like, wow, that's really cool. It is cool. It's a piece of code. This software will now do that with video. So I can literally, like right now, you can see you can see LinkedIn here. I can be scrolling through. So if I'm on Tyson's profile, and I'm a marketer trying to get financial advisors as clients, then I might, and if his profile is way off, I'm scrolling through his profile. I'm talking really generic, like, something about a cover photo. Oh, hey, man. Or like, hey, what's up? I was just, I'm looking for financial advisors. I came across this and I'm looking at the cover photo, just, unsolicited advice. I might change it to X, Y, and Z, or make sure that blah, 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 blah. Scrolling through the profile, clicking on something. Now that video can be applied to every single person that you're talking to, and it will show their profile, scrolling and clicking on their profile. So you make one video and can apply it to everybody. And that I've never seen that anywhere. Hopefully I'm explaining it properly. But I've never seen that. That is absolutely astounding. Um, on top of that, like you guys all know, we have that manual script, the manual response script. It's a standalone Google Doc. So you have LinkedIn over here, and then your script over here. Or if you only have one screen, you're moving between windows and tabs. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I like everything in one spot. I don't want to move all over the place. I can basically add all of our script into the software, so there's no moving windows or clicking and copying or anything like that. It's just they said this, click that button. They said that, click that button. Super, super simple. So we're testing it out with us. I want to make sure it works. It's all good. It's successful. It's like seamless. There's not a lot of bugs. And then we'll, probably slowly be bringing everybody else on board. But the group thing is huge, if only to get all the data from the group that we take this big giant list of data and move it over to Facebook ads, or use it as a lookalike audience on LinkedIn, or use it to run YouTube ads. Lots of stuff. But overall, be clear in your audience. Don't stop at just the messaging stuff. The automated stuff, it's cool, but what else can we do? So think outside the box. Like, what else can we do? Maybe webinars. And I would be joining groups so you can prospect inside of those groups, and then just keep in the back of your mind that join the groups so that when we get the software up and running, we can prospect to that group, inside that group. And then let's see. So I see the note about adding the Facebook ad stuff to school. So we'll be working on that. I'm actually going to set up some stuff for another company. So it's kind of ironic timing. One thing to keep in mind, we're just real quick tip on like Facebook, 2 quick tips on Facebook ads. Go to facebook.com/I think it's ID. It's either facebook.com/ID or it's facebook.com/verify. This is going to allow you to verify for political ads. You don't have to run any political ads, but you want your profile verified. It's the same. There's a verification here. So like, yeah, this like Tyson has verifications. Get your Facebook profile verified. You're not going to get a blue check or anything like that, but it's Facebook saying, oh, okay, that's a real person in that real exact same spot. Okay, cool, awesome. Once that happens, they're gonna give you so many less headaches when it comes to running your ads. It is honestly like pretty insane. But verify your profile for political ads, and then you should have 2 business accounts. 2 business accounts. One is going to hold your pixel data. This is going to hold your audiences. You have one business that's just data, nothing but data. And then one that's just ad accounts, nothing but ad accounts. This one, you share the data to this ad account. This one, you share the ad account to this business manager. So we're just sharing, we have two different things. We're just sharing things back and forth because when you're running ads, two business accounts, this one's the ad account. This is the one that the ads are running from. So if anything goes down, this is the business account that goes down. But if all of your data is stored in this account, you just make a new business account, share everything to this one, and you're off and you're running again. If you don't do it that way and you get your business account shut down, you have to start over. They lock up your pixel data. You're just not going to get it out. In another company I was doing some work for, I mean, we got shut down. We had to run everything out of my ad account. But we got their ad account shut down for some like crazy, I mean, well, it's crazy stuff, but we were battling with them for like literally a year, constantly. It was new messages to their support, like well, I was gonna say like every 5 days. I think it was maybe, once a month or something. Okay, guys, sorry I got cut out there. But just to finish my thought, if you're going to run ads on Facebook, have two different business profiles. One that's going to store all of your audience and your pixel data. Call it like audiences or something, whatever. Make as many pixels as you can. The other one, call it ads. That's the one that you're going to run your ads from. So make as many ad accounts as you can. The more money that you spend on Facebook, the more ad accounts that you can make. So you might be limited, right? If you first open up your business accounts, you might be limited to only making like 3 or 4 ad accounts. Maybe you only one ad account. But as you spend more money, you'll be able to add more ad accounts. And then one final thought. Um, a lot of people are going to say like, oh, don't even run Facebook ads if you can't spend more than like $20 a day. That is just total BS. In my experience, the more money you spend, the faster you get the data back, and then you can make data-driven decisions to make your ads work better. The less you spend, the slower you get the data back to then make data-driven decisions to make your ads better. That's as far as it goes. I have seen plenty of ad campaigns produce multiple thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars spending $5, $10 a day. I have also seen ad campaigns make tens of thousands of dollars spending $250 a day. So keep it in mind. The more you spend, the faster you get the data. That's as far as it goes. All right. Cool. Well, we'll get all this stuff in the school group, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you later.